Isaac, it's lovely to see you, and it's time for Give Me Five. Now, Isaac,
You too.
thank you. Now, Isaac, gaming. I know that people play gaming of all ages. It can be a big part of people's lives. Now, what actually is gaming, Isaac? Can you just tell me a little bit about it first?
Well, honestly, I think it's a natural progression from sports.
Right.
In that kids and and adults as you grow up, you hang around with your friends.
Yeah.
And in an era where everyone hung around, on the street, or in the park, you end up playing games, and those end up being sports. And so, as we move into a digital age, it's the equivalent of that. You need something to do with your friends.
Yeah.
So video games are kind of the natural progression.
Yeah, and we are, like you say, Isaac, in that digital age. Now, I've heard some bad things about gaming and some good things. So first of all, I want to think about the bad things. Some people forget to eat and they skip eating. Some people don't get enough sleep. Some people feel they need counselling because it's unhealthy, because they've become addictive. And some people say, well, it's a lot of sitting, they have no exercise, no sport, no meeting up with friends, and it can take over other lives of interest. Now, the good points is, since COVID, it can be good for your mental health for the reasons of relieving that stress and well-being. And it can be for skills, it can be educational, and some people are turning to gaming because they have very difficult family backgrounds and lifestyles, and it can relieve the anger and help them with their emotions and stress, and it can boost confidence, and they make new friends whilst gaming. And some counsellors have said it actually helps with coping mechanisms because they need it for relaxation and life struggles. And to me, I guess it's making healthy choices. What's your take on it?
I mean, yeah, I agree. It is. There are a lot of people that do things like miss meals and stay up extra late and stuff like that, playing video games. I know I have done that many times. But it's the same for anything you're passionate about. If you're really into, say, painting or building things, or any hobby that you're really passionate about, it has potential to take over your life in that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the same.
Yeah, I get that. And I think providing people watch out for the warning signs, you're okay, aren't you? Now,
yeah, that's... Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Isaac, you have taught yourself Japanese at a very young age, yeah? And when you did this, you lived in Japan and you were working on a robot. I mean, that's quite something for the Japanese government. Tell us about that.
Well, so I went over there. I didn't have any particular experience in robotics at the time,
Right.
but I am a software engineer, and I found this job in robotics, and it was really fun. We built a robot that works in a restaurant, and it greets you at the door, takes you to your table, takes your order, and then after the cooks have prepared your food, brings you your food.
That's amazing.
Well, yeah, and it was a really interesting project as well, because they pretty much said, right, here's what we need you to build. We want a robot that does this, this, and this. You've got 3 years to do it. Knock yourself out. And so it was really interesting, and it helped me, improve my skills and all that a lot. And I've got some nice stories to tell people.
Yeah, I bet you have. That's lovely, actually. So, Isaac, in Japan, what in ways is it different to European countries, would you say?
Well, when it comes to cultural differences, there's a bit of a cultural iceberg.
Right.
In that there's the surface things that are visible, food, language, things like that are very visible, and it's like, those are different. But there's a lot more going on under the surface. especially with a Far Eastern country like Japan. Their philosophy has completely different bases to ours, whereas our philosophy generally comes from early Greek and Roman philosophers. We've built up from that. They built theirs from mainly Chinese philosophy, Confucianism, things like that. So there's a lot of very fundamental differences, that things that seem like common sense to us aren't to them, and vice versa.
Right, that's interesting.
Well, yeah. For example, there's the saying, a rolling stone that never gathers moss.
Right.
They have independently developed that same saying, but with the opposite meaning. Instead of, for us, a rolling stone never gathers moss, it means as long as you keep moving, you won't stagnate.
That's right.
But for them, it says if you keep moving, you'll never really lay your roots down and get to know one place well.
Wow, that's amazing.
And well, yeah, there's lots. Generally, Eastern philosophy values being a part of the whole, and societal cooperation and sacrificing yourself for others, rather than things we value in Western philosophy like individualism and things along those lines.
Wow, yeah. So what is the crime rate like in Japan compared to UK? I mean, what do you think makes the difference?
Well, I mean, yeah, the crime rate in Japan is amazingly low, astounding. I think it's the second lowest crime rate in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that comes from, like I was saying, the values they're brought up with are things like fitting into the societal machine is incredibly important to them. They are very much the nail that sticks out gets hammered down approach.
Yes.
Which, while it means that a lot of us would have issues with things like how they treat their students in school, it's incredibly regimented. They're very, very strict. But it does result in a society with very low crime rates.
Yeah. So, could I leave my mobile phone on the table? Wouldn't it get nicked?
No, generally. So there are some parts of Tokyo that are a bit more like a modern, a normal modern city. But as a general rule of thumb, no. You can, in everywhere except Tokyo, leave your phone on the table. I remember I had one friend who we went to a restaurant and he left his wallet on the table to reserve it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do that in so many places. No,
you couldn't.
So that's a wonderful.
And it's funny because you get used to the safety. You get used to doing these things, like just being able to leave your stuff a place and go away. And so it's a bit of an adjustment coming back. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. And you're now in Germany and you have started recently a new job. Now you work hard, Isaac, but you also seem to have the travel bug. Has this been difficult during COVID?
I mean, COVID has had me stuck in Germany now for a while, I guess. Yeah. I'd like to go a bit further afield, but Germany's nice too. I came here for a reason.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm looking forward to when once COVID dies down a bit and borders open. I'm looking forward to trying out. I'd like to try Southeast Asia. I'd like to try Latin America, things like that.
That sounds amazing. So, you seem to have a really wide grasp of life, Isaac, and the world. Do you think you should have gone into politics? Because I actually think you would have made a really excellent politician. I really do.
You and my dad have said that a lot, but no, I don't think politics is for me.
But I love the way that you see all angles and you try and you work it all out. I think you would make a great politician. Well, that may be true. I don't think that's what makes a good politician. Being successful in politics isn't being a reasonable person. It's So what does then make a good politic in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it's things like it's things like charisma, being I guess you have your target audience. You're whichever a political party you're aiming to get onto your side, and you have to appeal to them specifically. Whereas I think too many of my views don't fit the mainstream. People wouldn't vote for me.
Well, I would vote for you. So, what is your favourite Bible verse, and what does that verse mean to you practically, in a practical way?
So, it's got to be Philippians 4:13. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. Yeah. And that really means to me, it's easy to end up relying on our own abilities and working hard ourselves. And don't get me wrong, while we should do all we can to the best of our ability, ultimately everything we do is down to God. Whether it succeeds or not, we should put our best effort forward, but it's God at the end of the day who decides who decides how our life goes like that. And so all we can do is rely on Him and trust Him.
Yeah.
And do our part as best as we can.
I would totally agree with you, Isaac. It's one thing hearing it, it's another thing really knowing it. And like you say, it boils down to trusting in the Lord. So Isaac, I've really loved interviewing you today. You've been great to interview, and I think the viewers will find you an interesting character today on your travels. So thank you so much. There's only one thing left for it. You've been a joy to interview. Give me 5, Isaac.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this interview. It's been fantastic. God bless, Isaac. Bye for now.
God bless to you. Bye.